Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Should Have Known Better. I'm Michael Petro, one of your three hosts. This week, the podcast is brought to you by Proper Designworks. Proper Designworks is a clothing manufacturer and custom embroidery business in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. And my God, are they good at what they do. Chris has been making me t-shirts for as long as I've known him, which is close to 10 years now. So if you've got a business and you want to make some swag, or you've got a new company and you need to make some t-shirts for your employees, or you really like hats and you want to embroider a cool design on them. Lastly, if you want to make a new pair of pants that fit your frame specifically, that are tailored to your every need, Chris Goetzman and his team at Proper Designworks will hook you up. We had to cancel the custom design t-shirt for $15 deal because it was too successful. So we've put a pin in that for now. That'll be coming back in the next couple months. So check us out on online on social media, on Instagram for any of those giveaways we were doing in the deal. As well, I'm going to be getting some t-shirts made for the podcast, so we'll be doing some giveaways on those in the next couple months. So right now, they're just making us look good, which I'm so grateful for. Chris is a talented motherfucker. He knows exactly what to do with thread and needle and sewing machines and screen printing and all that madness. So I'm looking forward to those t-shirts. If you want to check them out online, you can check them out under properdesignworks.com. That's P-R-O-P-E-R, design, D-E-S-I-G-N, works, W-O-R-K-S.com. If you need to email them anything and you're looking to place an order, it's info@properdesignworks.com, and you can check them out on Instagram under Proper Designworks. Thank you, Chris. We appreciate you so much. I'm so excited for these fucking t-shirts. On to the podcast. This week, Mark, Jason, and myself, Michael, decided to tackle the travel episode. So we started with our first trip with our parents. Was it good? Was it bad? Was it okay? And we extrapolated from there. We looked at the annoying tendencies that come with traveling, airplanes, lineups, customs, TSA, your passport going missing, all those little dramedies that happen while you're on a trip. We looked at our dream trips. We looked at how we travel. Are we creatures of habit and comfort, or can we just rough it out of a backpack for a couple days? Do we like the posh 5-star treatment? Do you give me a tent, put me in the middle of a field? Do we like that? And many, many, many more things, as always, were discussed. So I will leave you with the travel episode. And as always, should we have known better?
Corn chip is a good vessel for ketchup seasoning.
There you go. Traditional Mexican ketchup flavored Doritos.
It's authentic.
It's a food abomination.
Mexican.
So it's good to be back in the studio with you guys.
You're so kind to refer to this living room as a studio.
It's as close as I'm going to get. I wasn't sure when you messaged me before and said, are we doing this on Thursday? And I'm like, oh, God. Yeah, I'll be there. Still had some shutters left over from processing. I went to a Sundance ceremony for 4 days.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us about
hence
that.
Hence this dark brown color that I've never had before in my life.
Lift your sleeve up for a second.
Oh, you didn't see that?
Oh, wow, that is a separation of tan line. That is a farmer tan.
Oh, I thought you were talking about this.
That looks like a bite.
That's a flesh offering that I did.
Okay.
It's 6 flesh offerings for 6 strong women in my life.
So where were you? let's go back to
yeah.
We know what you were doing, but where were you doing this?
Just about 45 minutes north of the city is the spot where I do my sweat lodges. There's a Sundance ground there too.
Okay.
So it's a 4-day healing ceremony that I was doing Shouldhaveknownbetterpodcast doing the work for.
Interesting.
So I worked myself to death.
So you were essentially like a volunteer, kind of.
Also, yeah. That's the work that I'm called to do there. So
okay.
I was, getting the sweat lodges ready because the Sundancers fast for 4 days.
Yeah.
And dance all day. And they do a 2-door lodge in the morning and a 2-door lodge at night.
I'd be hungry after
Yeah, so they're
2
just
hours of fasting.
there's a feast at the end of it for sure.
I would hope so. Here's your calories back,
Yeah.
everybody.
So they're making that sacrifice and saying those prayers. There's a tree of life in the center of the arbor, and so they're just praying to that tree and doing that dance for themselves, their loved ones, for all of life, basically.
How many people?
93 dancers this year, and then maybe, I don't really know, maybe 50 support people.
Okay. So it's pretty intimate.
No, because there's supporters come out and stuff too, so I would guess 300-400 people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Some people come for a day or a few hours or whatever they need to, whatever they're called to. So, yeah.
You had a good time?
I did have a good time.
Compared to a protest in China, very
compared to Hong Kong right now?
compared to Hong Kong, very intimate. Very intimate.
Fun.
So it's for me, it was a ton of work. Last year I went and I had just an amazingly beautiful time. And so this year I went expecting that. But sometimes the lessons you get in life come with a lot of pain and a lot of challenge. And so I had to go through a lot of stuff. But I took the week off to just process that and stuff and thank the spirit that I did that, because I needed it for sure.
That's awesome. Because you would have probably just been here physically had we done this on Thursday.
Oh, yeah. It would have been
Jason, hurt the Jason.
Yeah. So while I was doing that, you guys were at Folk Fest, I believe.
We were at the Winnipeg Folk Fest. Yes, we were.
I think that's a good parallel that you say that some of the journeys that you take in life are hard, and some of them you just sit back and enjoy.
Yeah.
It's going to be very relative to our conversation today, anyways.
Yeah.
Michael, how was your Folk Fest experience?
My Folk Fest was fantastic. That is something. 3 words that start with an alliteration. That's what it is. Folk Fest was awesome because we were back in our beloved campground site, as opposed to being, for those of you who don't know where we met. Yes, exactly. So for anybody listening, there's 3 different campgrounds at the Winnipeg Folk Fest. And there's the crazy one, then there's the quiet one, and then there's the campground. So we were in the campground again. And
RV?
It was not RV, like a rented site with power.
Yeah.
We had to drive in every day. So that was great because we got to retreat and have your own little spot. Weather-wise, I think was fantastic.
Hot. Too hot.
26, 27, 28 during the day, and then dropped to right. There was like a tornado warning Thursday night.
Yep.
That was. It's great to see.
I remember that one.
It's great to have trust in the weather network, and just you'd walk up to somebody and be like, so what's that big old rain cloud over there? And they're like, oh, we're going back to the campsite. We got to buckle everything down. I'm like, it's going to blow over. What happened? It blew over.
When did tornadoes ever hit RV parks and campgrounds?
You did throw that into you threw that into the festival chat. It's like, they'll never, RV parks don't get hit by tornadoes.
When's the last time a trailer got swept up in
It's like a magnet.
I think I saw a movie about that once, but it's neither here nor there. Music-wise,
Folknado.
Folknado 2019.
Folknado, the Revenge of the Folky. Depends on how much drugs you've had and what you're referring to at Folk Fest. That could be a person or an actual tunnel of wind. Music was great, right, Mark? We had so much.
Oh, FM Belfast.
FM Belfast.
You weren't wrong.
I cannot say enough good things about this Icelandic, what are they, like a 5-person, 6-person ensemble?
6-person ensemble that's like synth pop, from the 80s, and then...
I described it as 80s synth pop meets EDM meets the Wiggles.
that third one is... I love that. Yeah. Man, did they move. That little guy?
Oh, the energy this man had.
At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we saw their first set, and it was stupid. The guy was moving in the sun. The sun hits that stage, and there's no escape. And he was in yoga shorts, really short shorts, and a long sleeve dress shirt. That thing came off, and he was just I was like, you're 3 3/4 naked.
Yeah, and it was somewhere in between the punk, the punk dancing, mosh pit dancing, mixed with raving. Mixed with jump around, just a weird combination of it. And he had so much energy, and he was 4'8", and he was amazing.
Fusion music.
Yeah,
it was so.
And they had so much fun with all their songs, and
they did a techno cover of Wonderwall, which unbeknownst to them, they don't know that that's the number one campfire song that's played in the campground.
Right.
Like you only know one song, and it's Wonderwall. So it's like every campfire is like the first verse, and then another campfire is the second verse, and then the third one's like the chorus just on repeat.
Right.
These guys did a techno version of it.
And the whole crowd was singing.
Oh my god!
Everyone's already been primed for it.
It was amazing, absolutely amazing.
How was yours on your side?
It was great. It was. I stayed in the RV portion of the crazy campground.
Yeah.
It's the slightly older crazy people.
Yes.
That have more means to bring
veterans.
a more substantial accommodations.
They've done too many shitty folk fests in the tent camp area, and like, let's get serious about this and bring some.
Yeah,
kind of
I was in a pop-up, a quite luxurious pop-up.
Yes, I heard
provided
you
by my friend Cameron.
Yes,
Camping with the Big Games crew.
What up, Big Games?
Which is like 30 of us in a giant semicircle behind the Big Games tent. And
for anybody who's been listening from the first episode, this is the group of friends that we talked about in the first episode, the Folk Fest 50 or whatever.
The reason I know Mike in the first place. Yeah.
So,
and it was a great experience. We had like all the activities going on. So we got Big Games that had the big giant carnival tent of fun with all their larger than life Battleship and Jenga and everybody else. Shout out to Big Games. Check them out. Rent some stuff for your local barbecue or party. It's cool.
What are big games, Mark?
Big games? There are games that are big.
Big.
Like board games that are...
Like we're talking like a 7-foot tall battleship. Like battleship game.
Yep.
We're talking...
to scale, basically.
To scale, yes. Yeah. What are some of the other fantastic ones that they have? Jengas,
Scrabble.
of course. Big Connect 4.
What's that one? Is it Whodunit where they flip the...
Guess Who?
Guess Who?
Guess
Big
Who,
Guess Who,
okay.
yeah.
Giant Scrabble.
Yeah.
Giant...
Yahtzee?
Crokinole.
Yeah. Giant Yahtzee.
We're both right.
Giant Backgammon.
Giant back, yeah.
Yeah. It's incredible. And then that was partnered with LED... Oh, I'm going to have to get this quote right. Maybe you can add it in afterwards.
Yeah, sure.
It's like LED Creations or something, which is Emily's company.
Yes.
They do large plastic orbs and cubes and benching and stuff all lit up. They did all the letters at Folk Fest this year out by Pope's Hill. Or she did. It's incredible.
Pope's Hill
it's
Folk
incredible
Fest sign,
stuff. Just amazing. So at night, she'd put all these orbs and boxes and stuff all around the Big Games campground. So we had LED lit up nighttime games at the Big Games.
Wow, that's new.
Tent. Yeah, which was fantastic. So just an amazing group of people. Weather was hot. Friends were good. Good times.
Beer was cold.
Friends weren't hot?
Beer was cold.
But what was that?
I said friends weren't hot?
Well, we were all hot during the day. We just searched for shade.
There was, I think, like 2 or 3 kiddie pools full of water in there at one point. Like all the pictures you see when everybody wakes up and it
that was a good time. Good time.
Well, that you were saying earlier that kind of ties into this week's episode, which is the travel episode, and
that kind of counts as travel.
Yeah, like
vacation, anyways.
Yeah, going somewhere. I mean, the length of where you're going really isn't defined as a vacation. I mean, you can travel 2 hours outside of the city, or you can travel 20 minutes outside of the city. It's all in your mindset. So, I thought, considering our whole premise of when we were younger, and now that we're wiser. I don't want to say older.
I'm the opposite. I want to say older, but not wiser.
I figured I figured a good place to start would be like the first big trip you took, right? Like the not the road trip you took, because we'll get into road tripping later.
Right.
But like first time you got on a plane and you went somewhere either with a parent or a guardian, because you probably weren't by yourself. But I know, Mark, you were talking about California earlier.
It wasn't my first, but it was one of the memorable ones.
Okay, well then let's go with the first
my
one.
First, but maybe my worst.
Yeah.
It was different. For those of you that aren't new to the podcast, you know my great relationship with my mother. So my mom, this is honestly, I think, the only holiday vacation that I ever remember taking with my mother.
Oh, you want to do that? You don't want to do your first one?
No, this is her.
Okay, all right.
This is the only one I remember. She took me to California.
All right.
But I don't remember ever taking me anywhere else, really. This was just, yeah. So she decided this was going to do this big trip. It's her and her friend and her friend's son, who was a couple years younger than me.
Are there air quotes around that friend or not?
No, her name was Carol. Okay. So my mom's friend, Carol, who is also divorced, bringing her son with us.
I see a theme forming.
Yeah. So the two ladies are going to take their two sons to California.
Mom and son.
We're going to the land of Disneyland.
Oh, yeah.
And, all California adventures, right? Lots of stuff.
Especially
there.
Back then. That was literally the Mecca.
Right? California. Tons of stuff to do. I think we went for like a week and spent
my God,
3 or 4 days in the hotel.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We stayed in one of the high-end motels.
Right. The motels that surround the place.
Located conveniently within an hour of Disneyland.
Oh, no. So not even the one across the street.
I know. I don't know where. It wasn't really close.
We're going to get you within an hour of Disneyland, Mark. We're not going to take you there.
That's
by the sounds of it.
We managed to go to Disneyland at least one day, I think. We got a one whole day at Disneyland. And I had this to compare because my aunt, who raised me for a good portion of my life and that I live with, she took me to to Florida, to Disney World at some point. So I had this like balance, right?
Yeah.
And when I went to Disney World, I'm like, look at all the things you can do. And when I went to Disneyland, I'm like, oh, wow. we got a pool that's like a really hot bathtub because it's not cooled.
The thermostat's broken. It's got nothing to do with desire.
And I remember the son of the friend whose name is Greg. Is his name?
Shout out to Greg.
Shout out to Greg.
Greg,
you were a brat and you complained about everything and you cried when you didn't get your way.
I want to cancel my shout out to
you
Greg.
Made a shitty holiday even shittier.
And we assume you haven't changed, so you're probably the same worst person you were.
But you made great stories for later on in life. Yeah, anyways, it was just it was normally people plan and like they have each day of their trip when they go to somewhere
You're
like
scrambling
that.
to get to all this stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna go to SeaWorld and what that was back before
Travel
SeaWorld was the devil.
This is before Enlightenment.
Yes. Nowadays, it's more socially acceptable to go to strip clubs than it is to SeaWorld.
No fucking kidding.
But yeah, all these things planned, and we went there, and I'm like, later on in life, I discovered all the things that were around us when I was in Disneyland that I never got to see. And yeah,
man,
so
did you feel a little ripped off?
Feel a little ripped off.
I was this close to
short
XYZ.
And I've discovered later in life my mother's not a great traveler. She goes to places and then doesn't.
She just gets there.
Stays in the hotel. I went to Vegas with her. I took her to Vegas. We stayed at a timeshare, and I think we were there for like 4 or 5 days, and she left the hotel one day. That's not
why?
That's not traveling. That's just displacing your physical form.
Yeah,
expensively.
Yeah, and which is an interesting point,
airport,
right?
But
my mother's an example of somebody that can travel but not
experience.
Like you can experience more than 10 minutes of your house than a lot of times my mother's traveled halfway across the world.
Her body can travel, but not her mind.
I mean, my mother took one of the most incredible trips that anybody I think could take. She took a National Geographic boat trip through the Galapagos Islands and to Machu Picchu.
Oh, okay. So the land of the home of Darwin.
Yeah. And then climbed to Machu Picchu, right? In the center of Peru, like at the top of the world.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure she left her cabin probably twice with the sound of things. Like it was she's not much of the.
I don't know if Machu Picchu is one of the 9th wonders of the world.
I believe it is.
I believe it is?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got that close to a 9th wonder.
She went there.
I know.
But I mean, like...
You climb it, though. Like, you don't go to a mountain and go, okay. Like, you check. You and the mountain get into the ring, and you try to beat the mountain.
Now, to be fair, my mother has some medical issues with her back for years and stuff like that. But it does lay her up quite a bit, and she spent a lot of money to go on a really cool trip, and I don't think she really... took advantage of it. Anyways, enough about that. But that was the great experience as a kid. That was a trip that wasn't much of a trip.
Mark's almost Disneyland trip.
Almost Disneyland. Yeah, Mark almost goes to Disneyland.
I think you can make a series about that. At least 6 episodes. Sir Jason.
So real quick, the first trips we always did was just to Winnipeg.
Okay.
We didn't have a lot of money, so you'd come to Winnipeg kind of like probably in August every year.
Which is to the argument that that's a trip.
Yeah.
If you look forward to it and you have to travel a distance, that's a trip.
I mean, I love this city, and that's probably a lot of why I love it as much as I do is because of that connection that we built. I mean,
Winnipeg
honestly,
has candy.
the biggest excitement for me was being in the hotel room because
you should go traveling with Mark's mom.
Yeah, exactly. They had different TV channels.
If you love hotel rooms,
I do.
Yeah.
So I would watch
doing
like
Travelocity reviews. Sorry, go on, Jason.
So I would watch like He-Man and The Price is Right, and then
Yeah.
eventually they'd be like, "Okay, we got to go to the mall and get some school clothes." There was always stuff for us as
Sure.
well, like go to the zoo, that kind of stuff. Maybe go to Ichiban and like check this out, and whoa, this blew my mind. Or actually, no, back in the day we went to what was that Mexican restaurant back in the day?
Chi-Chi's,
yeah,
deep fried ice cream.
I was all about the deep fried ice cream, which isn't that's not a Mexican thing. You can't get that in Mexico anywhere.
I know.
Forget it.
I know. It's like a North American thing that we do with other people's cultures.
Yeah, but we were in the city, which coming from the small town, there's all this
Big damn
cool
deal.
stuff to see. I remember we would go to the Big Eaton's downtown there,
Good old Timothy.
and there was like 7 or 8 floors of stuff, and you would like, go to the toy floor, and I would just be like, "We'll be up here. Come and get us when you're done."
Yeah, wasn't like the 5th or 6th floor of the toy floor?
Something
I
like
remember
that,
the toy floor at Eaton's. That was
And
amazing.
just you come up that escalator, and it that horizon opens up in front of you, and you're in Shangri-La. All the toys have ever been made are here.
It's
and like that's the first place I saw like an Atari video game system. Like, what are you talking about? Video games in your house? It's insanity.
I remember them having an aisle of Cabbage Patch Kids.
Yes.
That was about the era that I was there.
I was magnetically pulled to like the action figure aisle. It was like the wall of G.I. Joe, the wall of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was
so that
or was Eaton's in the basement? One of them was in the basement, and
the Bay has the base. The Bay has the basement.
The Bay was the basement for toys.
Eaton's was up,
and Eaton's was up. Okay.
Yeah. Our first serious vacations, we went to Florida 3 times as a family.
Okay.
And so,
how close to Disneyland did you get?
Right, all over
Disney World.
Sorry,
all over that. We
that.
were all over that stuff, and did the Busch Gardens, and that's I mentioned before. That's where my hatred of goats started. When the goats stole my Chinese candy. Shout out to goats. I hope you all rot in hell. I'm really good at holding the grudge.
Seriously. So you must just love lamb chops.
Exactly. But it was interesting because we went at 3 different times. So we're
seasonally, or just 3 different random times.
3 different points in my life, kind of thing. 3 different years. So the first time we went, I would have been probably 8 or 9. So my brother's 13 or something like that. The last time we went, my brother had gone to Germany for a student exchange and come back. So he was old enough that he wanted to go out to the bars, out to the clubs and stuff like that.
He's experienced.
My sister, who was the middle child, she was old enough. She wanted to go to the beach and meet the boys. Go flirt with the boys. That was her big thing.
Got a new bikini. Got to go show that thing
exactly.
off. Sorry to your sister if that's offensive.
And then I was probably around 13 and discovered that there was a video game, 4 arcade games around the corner at a convenience store.
I'm gone.
And so
dropping quarters.
Exactly. So it was the worst trip ever. Mom and Dad, I'm sorry we did that to you. I remembered that we spent a lot of time because it was a condo that I think we'd done a vacation swap with somebody. And there was this old show, 60s, 70s cop show. Kind of a blaxploitation thing.
Okay.
I don't know, Sugar Mama or something.
Shaft?
No, it wasn't Shaft. But we would watch hours of that because it was just on TV. And my parents are like, we brought these kids to Florida and this is what they're going to do with it. They wanted to strangle us, rightfully so.
Oh, yeah.
If they had just strangled one of us, the other 2 probably would have stepped in line.
Well, that's the misunderstanding.
But it was it's a weird transitionary point for our family, It's 5 years difference between me and my brother. But at that exact point in time, there was a huge range between the 3 kids of what their interests were, what they wanted to do. You know.
You don't take teenagers on vacation.
No.
Not well developed enough.
Teenagers are awful.
You take young kids on vacation and you go vacation with your kids when they're.
But I was 13, so what did we not do this?
And Florida is a pretty easy choice, right? By default, if the parents are well, Florida, I think they'll all find something to enjoy.
Yeah, you should.
You should.
There's something inherently wrong with us.
me and my mom have actually, when I think about it, never gone anywhere together on a plane that I know of, that I can consciously say I know of. We never went anywhere. And that predominantly had to do with the single mom thing and, raising a hungry child like me who eats for 3 kids. And but my dad was the one who took me on trips. And the first trip that what
single mom having to feed 3 kids, only having 1.
I was thinking, my parents had that same problem, but more kids.
I ate the family size. But yeah, so the first one that he took me on was to Digby, Nova Scotia.
Digby.
That's
a nickname that you gave my dog.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm still using it.
Dagny Digby, yeah. So it was a business trip for him. So
not for you,
not for me, no. But like he was a salesman, right? So like whale watching, and we'll go. I went on a scallop boat, all of
scallop.
Well, I know he sold me on the itinerary because the itinerary was a planned thing for all of the members of this conference and their families. So like he wasn't doing any of this stuff because he wanted to spend time with me. He was just like, by default,
that's my job.
Like he would try to double up on the parenting thing. So he was like, well, I got to go on this business trip. Might as well take my kid and my stepmom. Mm-hmm. So we go. And it was super fun. Like it was the first trip I ever took, and it has cemented how much I love the East Coast of Canada.
Right.
The culture, the people, the environment, the scenery, everything it's a forgotten. Shout out to the East Coast. You are forgotten when it comes to the rest of Canada. But the whale watching was awesome. We went on a scallop boat, and I got to shuck a scallop like right out of the net. Which is the best way to have scallop. If you can never get on a scallop boat, let me tell you. That's did I eat it? Yeah, I totally ate it. Yeah,
nice.
I've been putting shit in my mouth way back.
I'm not a fan of raw scallops.
No, you don't trust it.
I just don't like it.
I like the chops.
I like a lot of things. I didn't like raw scallops.
It's the texture, isn't it? It's the snotty texture. Yeah, that's the baseline that most people can't get past when it comes to eating shellfish raw.
I had them at sushi, and I like other raw fish. Just didn't like raw scallops.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Chopped scallop is my go-to at sushi.
Is it a trigger for you?
Chopped is okay. Yeah. Just don't mention scallops anymore. How dare you,
mother shuckers.
But that trip was awesome because it was the first time I was on a plane. Like there was a lot of firsts there, right? But just to see that, it's not like going to Regina, or it's not like going to Middle America in some county. It's a big trip. There's a lot to do out there, and I experienced it like a tourist.
Right.
So that's my first solid memory.
Sounds like you had a pretty good itinerary that was set for you.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Those are things I would do if I was over there.
I've never been on the East Coast.
Me neither.
No?
Like of U.S. or Canada.
I did that trip, and then when I was older, I decided to take a stab at the military, which I don't know if I think I've briefly mentioned it once or twice.
We don't recommend stabbing at the military.
Yeah, don't take a stab at the military. They stab back. So I did my training in Oromocto, which is like 20 minutes from Fredericton, New Brunswick. So that was fun because that's where I experienced the people being older, and I was 21. So that was a funner version of the East Coast.
A little more aware.
Yeah, more aware of what to drink and how to do it. But I fell in love on that trip. I fell in love when I was younger. No, I fell in love a couple times when I was in the military. But when I was a kid,
with the person or with the area?
Don't ask, don't tell.
With a person or with the area?
With a person.
Okay.
And the area, but her name was Emmanuelle, and she was the daughter of another. It was one of those like brief.
She was the daughter of a baroness.
I think I've seen that film a long time ago.
It was Unrequited Love.
I have a tendency to recite movie scripts and replace my reality.
I was part of the Foreign Legion.
But like I met her the first day, and then we spent time together because they put all the kids together, right? Long story short, so it was the first plane trip. And I think I was 13, 14, right around there. And then
oh wait, so you met her the first time you went, or the second time you went?
The first time I went.
Okay.
So
we're adding some real
roots
to this.
Yeah, it was But that's what I remember about my first trip was there was a lot of first experiences where
Go on.
Not that didn't happen. No, when
did more than shucking, did we?
Shuck off.
Don't be shellfish, fellas.
For the win.
Okay. All right. Ding, ding, ding. I'm tapping on that one. No, there was just a lot. It was a lot of emotion and experience and fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
that's what traveling's all about.
Really, yeah. It's about getting out of your comfort zone first and foremost, and then once your guard is down, I feel learning everything you can, like getting balls deep, I guess to say.
I told you he did it. I told you he did it.
I mean, not literally. Like, I'm getting balls deep in some Mexican culture tonight. That doesn't sound right. But yeah, letting your guard down and getting experienced. What are some of like the worst experiences you've had trying? Have you had issues with customs? What about airplane delays? Like, what's the
bad travel?
Yeah, bad travel. It's usually more than good travel. I feel the A to B is the worst part for me. Like
for sure. The worst, without a doubt, the worst part of it is the traveling.
And it's because
the worst part of traveling is traveling. 100%. Yes.
Like
the being there is great.
Being there is beautiful. Yeah, I love that. Wake up in a hotel, someone make your bed, beautiful. Yeah.
It's not about the journey, people.
I don't believe the hype.
Yeah, fucking get rid of that bumper sticker right now if you haven't. But it really is like even going to like Vegas. I feel that there's too many people put into a small space with the same vision of what's going to happen when they get there, and then if you remotely get in front of them in any way, shape, or form, and you get in their way, then it's and I mean, like a fuselage is not a place for good tempers. So I take a lorazepam and I chill the fuck out in the corner. But
just wish away the flight.
Yeah, So like, what aspect, Mark, is like that you dread the most having to get over? I guess when you get on a plane or a vehicle or.
I'm not a good flyer.
Okay.
At all.
Why?
I just don't like flying. I guess somewhere in my psyche, I'm convinced that
it's your plane that's going to go down.
Planes are not. Yeah, I have like 3 things that I'm kind of scared of: airplanes, lightning, and animals on highways.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like a squirrel on a highway makes you shiver in a corner.
So I'm convinced somewhere in my life that I'm going to die in a rainstorm when I'm driving along a highway and I hit a deer. And when I get out to check on the damage and the dead deer, I get struck by lightning.
And then a plane just lands on you for good measure.
It's either that or a lightning storm brings my plane down. And if I survive, I'm probably eaten by that said deer.
Rabbit deer.
Rabbit deer?
Rabbit.
That's a new species.
I mean, I know rabbits will fuck anything, but I didn't know if they were crossbreeding.
Yeah, I don't. So the plane thing is, I'm not an overly religious person, but
is that where you go?
Yeah, me and God, we get tight right before takeoff.
I know what conversation you do.
Yeah. I know I haven't talked to you in a while.
There it is.
I should probably do better, but
been using your name in vain lately.
Yeah.
But if you could
your
just
son
make
Mark,
us,
I'm in seat 4B.
Yeah, we make amends, and until the next time I fly.
Okay.
So yeah, the flying is the tough part. Like you said, I like being places. I like experiencing new things. I like the adventure travel parts. Like, I don't mind an adventurous bus trip in Mexico to some kind of thing for a couple hours. I don't mind, I don't know, if I was somewhere and I rode on a burro up a mountain, or like I'm taking a train across Europe, or I'm on a riverboat cruise somewhere. That's adventure and travel at the same time. Right. But just the getting somewhere travel, like going to an airport, hopping on a plane.
Airport to airport looks identical.
Yeah. And that's the part that I hate.
And
it's
everything's the same except the time.
Some god-awful time in the morning normally. Like you're up at 3:30 to go catch a flight at 6. And by the time you get to your destination, you've been up for 14 hours and it's only 10 in the morning.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the part that I don't do.
What do you do to remedy that?
That's a good question.
I just drink on the plane.
Drink heavily. I try to sleep. It doesn't always work.
Like in-flight entertainment doesn't do it.
Yeah, it does, but I get I have motion sickness too at times. So anywhere that's moving, and if I try to focus on like a screen, whether it's a movie or something like that, then I normally get headaches and get nauseous and all that kind of stuff. So the traveling part of travel sucks for me.
Okay.
I'm waiting for the portal. I can just be places and check it out.
That's what I want. I just want to click my heels together like Dorothy, and there's no place like New Zealand or Rome or whatever, right? But like
there's no place like Rome.
Thank you for picking up on that.
Okay.
Boy, she really wanted to go to Italy.
I didn't know I was supposed to bring my puns today, guys. If you told me in advance, I didn't get the fucking memo. But yeah, like it really. When that day comes, it's gonna and I mean, it's probably not. It's like when the carburetor for the car was invented, that you could go like some ungodly amount of kilometers before you needed to refuel, and that guy and his design disappeared from the planet. Right? I have a feeling once like teleportation potentially is invented, that person's gonna get disappeared by the airline industry, right? Because they're all about like bottom line, and their margins are so fucking small. Like they have no regard for the people in the thing that they are operating. They're responsible to get
just
to and
build
from.
and control the teleportation portals.
Yeah, that's true.
Watch the documentary about the hydrogen powered car. It's pretty interesting.
I'm seeing some pretty shifty conspiracy eyes in this room right now. It's making me nervous.
No, it's just coincidence that right before Tesla launched their first vehicle, their chief engineering officer and somebody else all died in a plane crash right before the Tesla released.
That's what I'm talking about. No,
that's not a conspiracy theory. That's truth. That's big oil out there killing people, Jason.
Yeah, no. On our next podcast, Conspiracy Theories by Mark.
Yeah.
So what about you, Jason? Like, where do you get a little like when it comes to the?
I'm pretty good in the airports. Like, I often won't get a hotel, even if it's because it's usually like 6 hours. When I'm gonna go to a hotel, pay a bunch of money, sleep through my flight probably because I'm tired now. It's it's 2 a.m. I'm not.
Yeah.
So I've spent a lot of time just like by myself because just before everything starts closing at the airport, like. Go hit the KFC and get yourself like 8 pieces of chicken. Stay up all night eating chicken.
One an hour until the flight comes in.
So I was going back and forth to Nashville probably every 2 months when I was with Margaret when she was in school there. And so I often was traveling with Dagny, with my dog. And kind of thought that could be a lot of stress and a lot of pressure. But it was the best ever because she absolutely loved it because she has this dedicated like 14-hour block overnight with my dad. I'm on his lap. He's petting me. He's feeding me. She thought that was the holiday. She thought that was the best part of it.
So the dog's allowed on your lap in the plane?
No, not on your lap. Just in the carrier. But when I'm like
sitting, the carrier below the seat.
Yeah. So because I would always have to go to Toronto and then stay overnight. So I would stay overnight in the airport with her.
Sure. Okay.
And just hang out.
Yeah.
And the one problem I had, probably my worst traveling memory, was coming back with her, and she, I've got her in her little pink carrier, and there's the custom forms, and you always check the same boxes, right? It's never the left hand side.
Put a line right
always,
down.
Yeah, exactly. Always check like, do you have guns? No. Do you have drugs? No. Do you have whatever? And one of them is the big long one is, do you have farm goods? Blah blah. Do you have grain? Blah 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 blah. And in there it says live animals. And I checked no, because you always check no, otherwise you're going to get screened.
Oh, boy.
Now, I had her papers with me. I give them to here's her shots and everything. I'm carrying her in a bright pink, like she's with me. I'm not sneaking her in my luggage or anything. And they redirected me and went through everything that I owned, everything. 2.5 hours. And I'm like, I'm going to miss my connection. And they're like, yeah, you're going to miss your connection. Can you guys help me with that? No, you'll have to take it up with your airline when we're done with you. And like he's going through, I had a gaming phone that just had games on it. It goes through both my phones, literally opened every app. Because on the one phone, he wasn't familiar with it, that brand. So he didn't know how to close everything in the background. So when I open it up to close apps, there's like 18 apps running. They look at everything. They go through the computer, everything. Wow. So now I won't travel. At that point, I went and got a dummy, like a computer with nothing on it, and just use cloud-based services. So like, here's the computer. There's nothing on this.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about client confidentiality and stuff like that. But yeah, and like he goes through and he goes, you have $280 here in your customs form of goods. what's that? I said, well, it's mostly Pokemon cards. And he goes, oh. And he looks at me like just such an incredible hard ass for no reason. Like, I'm obviously not trying to sneak this dog. I snuck it into your country. Now I'm trying to sneak it out. Just let me go. And he kind of leans back and goes, oh, well, some of those are worth a lot of money, aren't they?
Oh, dear Lord.
I'm like, yeah, you caught me. Because I don't know how to use the fucking postal service. I have to fly to Nashville to smuggle Pokemon cards into Canada. You fucking idiot.
Nashville's a hotspot for Pokemon black market trading cards, apparently.
So, yeah, that would be my worst traveling experience, I think.
Yeah.
And so it has literally changed the way, whether I'm flying to Toronto or anything, it's changed the way I fly.
No kidding.
Funny story of people traveling with weird like Pokemon cards, right? Like you got Pokemon cards and candy. What are you doing, really?
Yeah, I mean,
but so friends of mine are
I know what he's doing, but we're not going to talk about it.
Coming to drive up to Canada from Minnesota.
Maybe there's a Pokemon problem. I don't know. Go on.
Who knows? Anyways, friends of mine, a couple driving up from Minnesota to Canada to visit. Hadn't been up to Canada before. They get to the border, and they're only coming for like a weekend, right? Like a couple days. So they just have like a little backpack with some clothes, not like suitcases or anything. The only thing they have in the trunk of the car is a 24 case of this energy drink you can only buy in Minnesota called Red Rooster.
Oh, okay.
So they open up the trunk of their car, and there's just this like giant 24 pack of Red Rooster energy drink.
And nothing else.
And nothing else. So they're trying to explain where they're going and why they don't have anything and why all they have is 24 energy drink.
I'm a step from
how long have you been driving for, sir?
So I could see that they probably look like smugglers of some type, but yeah, so they really got torn apart at the border.
Right.
But just a weird coincidence of the only reason they're bringing it is because I liked it when I was in Minnesota and they thought they'd surprise us and bring up 24 cans of it. But at the border, it looks a little bit different. Yeah.
Well, the guy's like, what's in each of those cans, right? Because I'm sure anybody's tried anything to get shit across the border, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
There's that one picture of that person who they tried to smuggle in the van seat of a U-Haul, like they had the person sit like the chair, and then they cut open the side of the vinyl because the seat was like bulging out. and there's this person trying to get across the border.
Wow.
Yeah.
I accidentally smuggled drugs across the border once. I was like
Do
18. There was this girl that I was seeing, one of the park rangers in the Sioux Lookout, and she wanted to get some weed, and I didn't smoke weed, but I'm like, I know some people, I'll get you some. So I got it for her. Then we went out to the thing. They're having like sort of an end of season do kind of thing. And I ended up with me and a buddy and 3 of these rangers in my car. And they'd never been across the border. So like, let's go to Fort Francis, fuck with the other ranger camp, play some pranks. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. So we go do that. And then I'm like, hey, do you guys want to, let's go to the States. Let's just jump the border and come back. So like, okay, that's great. Let's do this. So as we're at the gate and the guy's talking to us, it hits me. I'm like, I got weed in the glove box. Oh my God. But it wasn't something that was on my radar previously because it's not something I ever participated in at that age. And so I didn't dare tell anybody else in the car because I'm like,
then it becomes an issue.
Yeah, I can keep my shit together. I don't know if anyone else can keep their shit together.
Yeah.
So we went across. Then I brought it back across again. And then I'm like, oh, by the way, Jane.
Living on the edge. I don't know if there's a statute of limitations on international drug smuggling.
Probably not. Good luck dusting that car for prints. It's been dead for 20 years.
I don't like other people when I travel. If there's
which means that other people don't like you.
Oh no, I'm sure. Like Shauna will tell you that I am I'm not a giant child, but I do get.
Since when?
Is this in general? Do you mean?
Yeah.
Day by day, it's a process. But like I don't like. I size people up and then I start to create stupid like reasons why they're getting like I it's all myself like it's nothing it's interior, but I don't like waiting in line. I don't like
cranky baby.
Yeah, and like I guess I don't like humanity traveling is really what it is when I get down to it. Right,
humanity is the worst in airports.
Airports and parking lots we suffer greatly. If we're ever judged on traveling to a different dimension with a new habitable planet, those are the 2 things that will stop half of humanity from getting across. But the thing where we're all on the plane and then the plane lands and as soon as it lands, like 97% stand up. I'm like, you can't go anywhere for another 10 minutes. Like,
I'm with you. I'm sitting the whole way.
You know what I mean? And then I get a little claustrophobic because the two people on either side of me are standing up, and I'm like, you got, like, seriously, we're at the back. We're at the fucking washroom, and you think you're going? You're not John Travolta. Like,
you understand
you're not
how physics works?
Yeah, you're not in a wheelchair. You're not any of the special classes. You're stuck here until we get the luggage off and they start taking us off in order. So it's those things that get my patience out of whack. Right. It's not so much the plane ride, but the plane ride is second to that. Like
well, people lose their minds when they're doing air travel because it's important what they're doing, and they lose all sense of self-control. And so if you're
awareness,
if you're someone who needs that, and you're in a strange place, it's important to you. You have basically zero control. I'm probably in a very foreign environment.
Bingo. That's it. I don't like being at somebody else's back.
People lose their minds. There's some, I watch a YouTube channel called Arthur TV, and he's distilled down all the worst airport freakouts from those like airport reality shows. It's golden. I love it every time. And people make these insane requests and demands, and they lose their fucking minds. It's crazy.
People seem to forget that everybody else is doing the same thing there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like they think they're the only person that needs to make a connecting flight.
Yeah.
They're the only person that has hotel reservations. The only person who's got their aunts picking them up at the airport when they get.
Yeah.
Like
chances
really, we're all going to
Yeah.
Florida. Chances are we're all going to a fucking hotel, and we're all.
Like
if you want to know what happens when
the fuck
bomb,
down.
when the bomb drops and people need to get out of the city, just go to the airport for an hour. That's what's going to happen times 10.
Oh yeah, no, I'm getting on the fucking highway. I'm not waiting for planes.
I have a contingency plan.
Oh, you do? Okay, not for public consumption. Okay.
We'll talk later because I've got some things that fit well in with that.
I know a place that's got a thing with a bunker, so I think between the three of us we'll be fine for end of times. What's your favorite thing about traveling? Like what do you look forward to the most? Like prime example, I love the moment when you're on the plane and it takes off and there's that okay shit feeling, and it's like on any carnival ride, right?
Right.
I love that.
I love the moment when you touch down and you No, but I mean, number one, because I lived.
Really?
And number two, it's just that we're here. And
Yes.
you look out and it's like
The
wherever it is,
excitement.
like if you've gone from cold Winnipeg to somewhere tropical, and you look out and it's like there's palm trees.
Yeah.
And like even when you're about to land, I stick my head to the window and look at all the cool stuff. Like it's just a different place, right?
It is.
I would say there's that moment when you step out of the airplane and the environment is different.
Yes.
It's hotter, it's humid, and you're like, whoa, we're not in Kansas anymore, unless you've gone to Kansas. You're like,
We're in Kansas again.
didn't fly far. We could have driven this one. So there's that moment, but I'm also with being in the plane when it takes off and when you can look out and see, back when I was a very aggressive atheist, that to me was the closest that I ever came to God. That moment when you realize I'm in this thing. I mean, air travel for human beings is a sheer feat of will. As a species, we said, we will do this. We will not be denied. And we kept at it until we could do it. So to me, that was as close to touching God or religion that I had.
Yeah. We should apply the same style of thinking to racism.
Exactly.
Just an idea, you know.
Yeah.
Let's take the same will to fly and go to the moon and
just
apply
be
it
like,
to
let's
something
end
that
this.
affects everybody, not just Neil Armstrong.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a good comedian that does a bit on, how finicky people get when they're in the airplane and the pissy little requests they make and stuff. And they're like, no peanuts. It's an outrage. I'm incensed. I've paid for these peanuts. And it's like, dude, you're traveling through the fucking sky right now at 300 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You need to be in touch with what it is that you're actually doing and be grateful for that.
Take your trail mix, sit down, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. You can get more licorice when we land.
I have that same though, the landing, being in the different environment. I also do that when I travel by car or something, right? Like even though say I drive into a city, I sort of like hold my excitement until you're at your destination.
Right.
So you're there and you're like, okay, well, I got to focus on directions. How do we get there? And then you pull up to the hotel. I remember like driving into Chicago. Pull into the hotel, like downtown Chicago, finally there after all the crazy traffic and everything else. And then you get out of the car and you're like,
this is where I live now.
we're in Chicago.
Yeah.
But I wanted to delay that till you finally get to your destination, and you can just give that sigh of relief. And
if you start getting
now I
happy
can
puppy,
relax. Yeah, now I can relax.
Totally.
Exactly.
Now you can enjoy, right? Now
Yeah.
you can experience, because you have to shift left brain, right brain on that. I got that like when we went to Mexico the first time. Like I wasn't getting excited about everything until like my underwear was in like the hotel room. right, because it's just hoop after hoop after hoop after hoop, where like that's the big win for me is enough money to always book a private jet, right? At my beck and fucking call. Like that's if I'm going around the world, like I'm gonna run like an amazing race travel trip.
Yep.
It's all on a private fucking jet. Like I'm not.
I don't think that's much of a challenge.
But there's another lottery win too when you're traveling. This one's a big one for me. No crying baby.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Because I can always leave, right? I understand. I sympathize. You have this child that's cranky in an environment it's never been in and wants to express that. That's fine. Any other place, you can walk away and do your own thing. So noise-canceling headphones are the bee's fucking knees when it comes to traveling.
See, what trumps that by far for me is the no one's sitting in this chair beside me. Oh, my God. And what I have learned is when I was doing lots of flights back and forth, to book, like the farther back you go, the more likely it is that you'll get. Sometimes I've had the lottery where you get 3 empty seats.
Oh, and you can stretch.
Or I've gotten up and gone back to if no one else is doing this, I'm doing this right now. And because you can kind of put your legs underneath those little armrest things and just I feel like a king right now. That's the best.
It's that moment, right? When they close the door and you're like, there's 2 seats here.
It's funny that was my best memory of my trip to California with my mother is that we flew back on like a wide body plane, the one that's like 353 or whatever, like a huge plane. And there was nobody in the middle aisles. Like we bought toys and I was like laying across the middle seats and playing. And that was the best memory I had.
Posh baby Mark.
Yeah. Not of California, the flight home.
Yeah.
The further away from Disneyland you got, the better the time you had.
Yeah, it was amazing.
That's Disneyland's got to work on their plan.
Now, Mike, you brought up something interesting that I want to talk to about travel. You said can't wait till your underwear gets in the hotel room.
Yes.
What kind of person are you? Are you? And I had this debate with Chrissy.
Ooh, I think.
Are you the person that shows up and like unpacks your luggage and puts stuff in the drawers and the closet and stuff, or are you something else? What are you? What happens? What do you do when you get in that hotel room when you walk through the door?
Creature comfort wins all. So
what? You unpack?
Here it is. Suitcase on the bed. Suitcase opened. I start to unpack. I need to live in my suite. I can't live out of a suitcase.
That's
I am
crazy.
by no means Here's the thing. If I'm going to a hotel, which I've only traveled to, like I've never done the big backpack trip or like the trip that Shauna and the girls went on to Turkey recently. That is one piece of luggage that's relying on flipping your underwear inside and out if you're that dirty. Lots of travel tricks.
4 days, prepare.
Underwear is the easiest thing to fit into anything if you know how to roll. But yeah, no, I habitize.
Like do you get in the bathroom?
Yep.
You get your shaving kit out. You put your toothpaste and your toothbrush up. And
Captain OCD over here.
Yeah,
right. I do. It's like squared too. Like everything is laid out, so I know where it is.
If I'm in a hotel for
unwrap
a
the
month,
soaps.
If I'm in a hotel for the month, the drawers haven't even been used. I'm still just living out of that suitcase that's wherever I dropped it.
And I get it because some people, I don't know where that lies psychologically, but I do understand that some people don't need order like that, right? Like living out of a suit.
I'm that guy for sure.
Yeah,
right,
you don't
Mark?
need order.
And I live somewhere in between you two.
Okay, so where are you? Like, are you?
I'm show up at the hotel. I want to find a good spot to put my suitcase. Right? Like that's important to me. They have those like foldable luggage rack things.
Yeah.
I find a good spot to put that out. Like I open up my suitcase and I'll take like the couple dress shirts or something that I need to hang up.
Yep.
I'll put those in the closet and then the rest of me lives out of the suitcase.
Shauna does that too. Like,
I don't need to take my socks and underwear and stuff out of the suitcase. I just need to hang those few things up.
Yeah.
I'm good. Everything. I do like taking my toiletry bag in, finding a spot. Like claiming a portion of the sink or wherever. I bought a toiletry bag that had a hanger on it, so it's good. Yeah. You can like hang
Mine
it on
has
things.
That too.
Yeah, that's totally good. I like that part, but I don't need to unpack my things. And then I find a good bag because I like doing wear something, throw it in a laundry bag.
Yeah, have a 2-bag system
there.
Yep. I totally like. went to Folk Fest with like an 80-liter backpack full of the tits. For everybody who doesn't know how long Folk Fest lasts, I packed for a 4-week festival.
Right.
But I pack enough T-shirts and underwear to go through if I start to get finicky and sweaty and stuff like that.
I am exactly like that.
Yeah, you overpack for anticipation, not so much, because I'd rather have too much than not have it at all.
Now it was so hot that I changed like a T-shirt 4 times a day.
Yeah, and that's
at some points during Folk Fest.
I didn't change my pants once while I was at Sundance, and I was working. Second or third day, went into the sweat lodge with my like trunks, and just put my pants on, and just 2 days later, I'm like, I'm still wearing these. I should get rid of these.
I don't want to talk about this too much, but the fact that you're in a sweat lodge, not changing your pants, I mean, that is...
Jason is capable of some amazing feats.
Amazingly offensive feats.
Amazing feats of not giving a shit.
That's my superpower. I can tune everything out.
I want that for work. I want to be able to tune out the bullshit. But yeah, so no, I set up. I don't know, like I there's a word for it, and I just don't know what the word is.
Cocoon? No.
Cocoon.
Nesting?
That's it. Thank
There you
you.
go.
I'm a nester.
The nesting, yeah.
I know a lot of nesters.
Big thing when I go on trips. I love eating at restaurants that we don't have at home.
Yep.
That's a huge thing. I don't know
100%.
how
Such a huge
somebody
thing.
goes on a trip
To Burger King.
and goes exactly and like we can just go to McDonald's.
No.
Go to, I don't even care what crazy restaurant it is. If we don't have it, I'm going.
Yes.
Like
Right.
like fuck it, I'm going to White Castle for breakfast.
Oh,
like
yes.
I don't know, you know,
Just get kicked out?
Totally fucking agree with you. Like to just transplant yourself and not take in like that. Like I can go to McDonald's in Vegas, or I can go to In-N-Out Burger, which we don't have. Or I go to White Castle, which we don't have. You go to experience all the things that you paid money, lots of money, to go to that place. Unless you're me, when I find Vegas deals for $350.
The one and only exception to that rule for me, because normally I'm all about that. Like usually I will plan the food before I go, and like, what are you doing here for events? Oh, no clue. What I know where I'm going for breakfast, lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Food is a major
You don't want to miss
travel
out
thing
those
for me.
main. Yeah, exactly. You don't want to miss those main opportunities, right? The one exception was in Miami one year for was it Ultra Music Festival, and there was a Carrabba's. We got a hotel.
What's a
with some friends.
Carrabba's?
It's like an Italian place.
Okay.
Italian chain in the States.
I thought it was like a thing.
They had a Carrabba's restaurant.
I had Carrabba's once.
I had a Carrabba's in my backyard.
You can get an ointment for
Got
that,
some
I believe.
ointment and it was good.
Cleared up in 3 days. Go
But
on.
they had it in the lobby of this hotel. And so, I mean, we didn't have rental cars or anything. And so, like, I ate there for lunch and
As you
dinner
do,
every
yeah.
day for like 4 days, because
Fucking eat the
it wasn't
menu.
in an area where like you could get to anything. So
But
I
at
just
least
kinda,
it wasn't something
I
you
did
had
let
at
it go.
home.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
What do you bring up a good point, Mark? Because some people would, like me and Shauna, want to do a food trip where we just go to some of the restaurants we've seen on TV and some of the chefs we like more of a themed trip as opposed to just going on a trip. But is food more important than shopping, or is shopping more important than experience, or is experience more like when you
food and experience to me are one
they
and the
are very
same,
one, yes.
right?
Okay,
very
yeah.
very similar. But I'll do that. I'll scope a place out and I'll say like, does it have any, world renowned spots, or does it have even like, is there like a breakfast spot that was featured on Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives?
where do the locals go?
Yeah,
Where do they
like
play?
a hot
Yeah.
breakfast spot or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be fine dining, like
Right, just interesting.
high end stuff, but interesting stuff. Yeah.
At one point, I had planned a whole like 3-week road trip of the States, designed
dream.
exclusively around the regional areas. So, like, starting in Maine, I'm going to have lobster. Go to Boston, I got to have some baked beans. Go to Philly, I need a cheesesteak. Whatever the local thing was as you went. Down to Louisiana, I
and get
need some
the best version
crawdads.
of
You
it.
can do that at the food court.
So authentic.
Golden Flower,
Yeah.
Taco Bell.
I'm going to Thailand and then to China and then to Japan
And then to the
and
washroom.
then to New York fries.
And then I'll finish it off with a Timbit. So
World tour.
This whole tour was just food themed, right?
Yeah, exactly. I just, because with as many states as there are, and they have these sort of tight pockets of regionalness. So
Yeah.
like, this is what we do here.
Yeah.
Like Connecticut, it's size of your thumb, and they have a thing there that's just them.
Well, that Shauna was saying there was a thing in Turkey which was a potato, like a baked potato, opened up, and then like corn and sweets and like savory things are just jammed inside of it.
I'm following.
And then they give it back to you and you eat it. So it's like creating a sundae out of a baked potato.
Huh, I love this.
It's the thing in Turkey. Like I
think it should be the thing here.
It should be. Like, but I mean, you put a food cart like that on, downtown and everyone's going to keep walking by it, sadly, because I mean, no offense to Turkish food culture, but none of them really liked it.
Right.
But it's that thing that you're talking about, right? That makes that area what it is.
I love those experiences because that's a little piece of the, like, I try to go to somewhere authentic too. Yeah. Like, not just restaurants that we don't have, but if you're in a foreign country, you want to go and try their regional delicacies. You want to try something local, authentic. Like, if I'm in Mexico, I want to go to like a street vendor and have tacos. I don't want to go to, Outback Steakhouse on the strip.
You want the not like brushed and not painted, right? You want it as original, as authentic, and as much as it is from where it is.
Yes, I want to get sick.
I was gonna say I'll have the taco diarrhea special. I have another exception to this rule actually. Went to Bolivia for 2 weeks. And you just get to a point where you start craving those foods from home. I needed to go to a pizza place. I just need something. There's also some waterborne stuff there because Bolivia's not really a super big tourist spot, so they don't have that same infrastructure. Luckily, we were there with family and had an amazing trip. But there, after a certain point, a week, 10 days, I was just like, can we just go to that pizza place? And then we went there and the pizza wasn't right. And I'm just like so frustrated. I wanted to cry. And like we would pass there was like in La Paz, there was I think one Burger King. And so we would pass the billboards all the time. I'm like, geez, I don't want to do this, but maybe I just need to go to Burger King and get some crappy food that my body's used to. I was fine for the first week and they were actually quite surprised because I ate everything. And they're like, you shouldn't be eating this. Margaret's dad got incredibly sick, like within 2 days.
Ooh.
And we were staying in the room above him, and I remember hearing him down in his room just curled up and literally begging God, why, God, why? He was in so much pain. And then I was fine the whole time,
Maybe he didn't have enough of the altitude sickness medicine.
Yeah, I don't know, yeah. A little coca tea will go a long way.
Know what I'm saying?
Coca tea. I started every day with coca tea, every single day.
Just chewing on them coca leaves.
Yeah, I did that too, driving up through the clouds, above the clouds.
I bet you were in the clouds.
It was a hell of a trip.
You are an international drug smuggler after all.
This is true.
Yeah. But, when they say you travel, a lot of people I'm going to keep it really simple. I'm just going to eat fresh fruits and veg. That's the worst thing you can do because they wash it in the water.
Yeah.
And that's where the foodborne stuff comes that you don't have the antibodies for or whatever.
You want a 500-degree grill.
Yeah. And
so you want shit in plastic.
Yeah.
Totally.
I thought soup would be a safe bet because it's hot and whatever.
But with water.
But it was a mistake. And that's, we went, I know when and where it happened. I got the soup. And then after that, I was effed up. And even on the trip back on the, like you're saying, Mark, the big plane with the 4 seats, Margaret was just bent over in agony, back to the bathroom every 20 minutes. Oh, terrible. It just took the life out of her.
I had that happen in Mexico. Oh, let me tell you.
Don't drink the water.
That's a bad part of travel is that we're accustomed to our diet and
yep.
There's something to be said for when you live in a place and you do things, your body develops enzymes and can battle those things that you eat.
It's conditioned to do it.
You go somewhere else and you're screwed.
Yep.
I mean,
you need 36 years of drinking Mexican water to even not have
such bad advice.
Tummy rumble.
It sounds like such bad advice, but stick with canned beer or pop.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
or bottled water, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Just anything that's not from the fucking tap.
Because I mean I wouldn't wish that on anybody in a 24-hour. So not to get too explicit here, but
no,
I got so violently ill that I was literally on the toilet so long that I was just drinking water and water would come out of me. Right. There was nothing left but water. It would it came out crystal clear. I was filtering it even further.
Yep.
Britta,
but
if
somehow
you're listening, Mark
somehow
is better
also
than
cramps.
You.
Yeah,
somehow cramps as well.
Yeah.
So
Makes
water, and then went to the resort I was staying at. This was in Cabo San Lucas, and they had a doctor pharmacy in the resort. So I bought insurance, travel insurance, went to see the doctor, and he gave me this medicine. I still remember the name of it, but he gave me, like, he said, "Oh yes, you've got food poisoning. Like, it's a common thing. Like, yes, we put it in your food."
Welcome to Mexico.
That will be $200 now. And he said, "Yeah, you're gonna need this." And he like literally has it in his office, like gives me the prescription for it.
Like a dispensary.
And, yeah, and I took like 2 of these pills, and like 4 hours later, I didn't go the rest of the time I was on my trip.
Right.
I mean, the pendulum swings in both directions.
It locked me up for like the last 3 days that I was there. And one of the girls I know who's a vet tech saw this medicine at one point later on when it was in my medicine cabinet at home, because I took the rest of it. She's like, "Oh, we give this to like animals that have diarrhea." Yeah, it's called Busconet, Busconet, I think it was.
Joe and Carmen
should be called ass release.
And it literally just like like you're not gonna go again.
Yeah. Joe and Carmen Julia had something like that as well, like just knowing that was going to be a problem for foreigners. It sounds similar. I don't know if it was the same thing.
Equine grade.
Yeah, exactly.
Equine grade.
Take 18 and call me in the morning.
Yeah.
Here's some shit cement for you. You can crap out a brick by the end of your trip.
That makes a trip very unpleasant. So you can't enjoy anything because you're stuck in the hotel room for a different reason.
Yeah, friends of ours, Rachel and Dave. What's up, Rachel and Dave, if you're listening? They went to Mexico and Dave got really sick and their shit got stolen. Like the two things, right? And then, so when they came back, they bought all these clothes, and then they got Jason. They got pulled aside, and they were like, "Why?" And they're like, "Well, we have these temporary passports, like just all that bullshit." But when you definitely go somewhere and it's for a long period of time, and you're sick most of the time, that's a big anxiety for me. Like I was even anxious for Shauna when she went to Turkey, because I was like, I want you to have the best experience, and she did get sick, so fuck me for worrying. I guess I put it out there, but she charged through. Right, she was like, "Screw it! I'm going on a hot air balloon ride at 4:30 in the morning with no throat to swallow." And
you got your bathroom with you.
Yeah, right. Well, no, it's like it's a 30-person hot air balloon.
Airdrop.
Yeah.
Get us out past the city, please.
When birds can do it.
Speaking of, she got shit on twice there, by the way.
That's very good luck.
Yeah, while they were on
bite hot air balloons. That seems to be an epidemic.
Epidemic in that country.
Every cafe in this town has a like warning look up before sitting on the patio sign. No, like birds, like pigeons came by and shit on her, and they're like, "You'll be a millionaire." And
pigeon.
Still haven't seen a fucking cent, but.
Well, while we're on that subject, I'm going to divert a little bit to again to my Bolivia trip. I could talk for 3 hours on this whole trip, but I'm going to share with everybody a special moment.
We don't know about this, ladies and gentlemen. We've not been pre-warned.
So we've gone up, this whole crew of us, like 20 of us maybe, or 15 of us, to the Uyuni salt flats, which is the biggest salt flats in the world. It's 400 million or billion tons of pure salt.
Okay.
And so you drive out into it for hours, and you stay in a little hotel. The building's made out of bricks of salt. Your bed is bricks of salt with a mattress on it. So salt. No plants or animals.
Is there water?
No.
I mean, to drink, because it seems like you're
no,
close.
you have to bring it with you or you'll die. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Because you drive out, like, I don't know, 12, 15 hours into it kind of thing.
It's a desert of salt.
Yeah. But in the middle of it, after the second day, there's this sort of little tiny island where there's some cactuses and some animals, and I guess there must be some kind of a water source there. And at this point in the trip, I have some intestinal issues. So as we're driving,
discomfort,
you're more than discomfort. Yeah. So as we're driving, I'm like, I gotta because when you gotta go, you've got to go. There is no option.
There's nothing truer.
So we're pulling up to this thing, and I'm like, oh, thank God I've made it. So they stop. I open the door, and I'm up the hill because there's a bathroom there. It's a provincial park or a state park, whatever. So I'm running up the hill,
tell me something's in there.
There's 3 or 4 people lined up ahead of me. So my turn comes, but only one person can go in at a time. And so I open the door, and it's
less than sanitary.
It's like a 20 by 20 room. Okay,
that's a big room to shit in.
Yeah, but it's empty except there's a toilet on the far wall.
Wait for it.
Between me and the toilet is, I don't know, a foot, 18 inches of used, crushed paper towels from all the other visitors. There's no garbage can. So it's like you cannot see the floor. You can just see used napkins and
that's fucked.
It gets better.
Shit tickets. Shit tickets as far as the eye can see.
So I can see across the thing. Now, for some strange reason in Bolivia, a lot of the public toilets are missing their toilet seats. It's just the ceramic part. I don't know if someone steals them or if they just don't replace them. I don't know what the deal is. But I can see over there isn't a seat. So
we're hovering.
But everybody's sick.
So
for, I don't know, 4 feet
in
across
each direction
and 2 feet high is a rainbow-shaped spray because everybody is bending
Jackson
over.
Pollock painting.
It's the Jackson Pollock painting of every tourist. And I just stepped up, I opened the door, and I looked, and I immediately thought, I'm going to just shit my pants. I'm fine with this. No, I couldn't go in. I couldn't do it.
You can't know.
So now I'm walking down the hill. I've been waiting for a few minutes to get into this thing. And as I'm going down the hill, Margaret's dad, Joe, is coming up. And he looks at me and goes, how was it? And I just shake my head.
No. Turn back, soldier.
And he just turned around. So then
There's nothing but death over there, son.
Yeah, so we did a little hike up there. And then I just got back in the vehicle thinking I might shit my pants in front of my loved one, Margaret, her son, her whole family.
That's who you shit your pants in front of, though.
So be it.
That was a better option.
It was so grisly. That was the better option. You're right, Mark.
That's a great shit story.
That's the worst bathroom in all of Bolivia.
That's wow. Yeah.
So let's go ahead.
No, you go.
Sorry, it's a bit of a showstopper.
Yeah, no,
I had to share it with the audience.
I was going to try to completely change gears
good.
on us.
Yeah.
I was going to say, in the true nature of our show, have any of you gone on sort of a trip when you were younger and then revisited that place later on so that you can sort of, you did it one way when you were a kid and that because I did that with Disney World, whatever.
Right.
I went back as an adult. So I experienced it as a child and then I went back as an adult and I got a chance to do all the things I should have done. Like I should have known better when I was there the first time.
Get the fast pass. That's what everybody should have known better.
Exactly.
Pay for the fast pass.
I got to make all the corrections and I did it right.
Your own decisions.
But I did Disney World as a 35-year-old man acting like a 12-year-old kid.
Beautiful.
Dude, we just talked about it like last week. Like we're planning November for
it's amazing
for Galaxy's Edge and like gonna get the fast pass. Like I'm doing Disneyland how Disneyland says you should do it. Because you can't really do it as a family. That's too fucking much money. Right? Yeah. So like,
well, I did the Universal Studios 7 years ago with a friend to go see the Harry Potter world and stuff, and so we got the fast passes. And so literally I want to say like 3/4 of the stuff or 2/3 you just walk up and it's like, oh, I'm not waiting. I'm going to go on now.
Yeah.
Bye.
In your head, you're going to do everything.
And so it lets you do in like you could see that whole Harry Potter world in a day versus like, I'll come back again tomorrow. Now I spent twice as much.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how they get you.
And I've burned another day of my vacation that I could be doing a million other things.
I found those passes at Universal were awesome because there were some rides that were really long lines and they were just lines.
Yeah.
They weren't entertaining lines. They didn't have a bunch of stuff to see like some of the rides do.
Yeah. You're just in a corner.
Yeah, because some of the rides, the line is actually kind of part of the ride, right?
They're getting better with
start
that,
getting the
most
experience.
Yeah.
But at Universal, there was a couple, like the Mummy, whatever, was like,
it's just a line.
It's just a line. And you go to the one side and you like, there's lines of people waiting. You literally go to the other side. You go right to the front. You get on. Yeah. And you can go on again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I could go 4 times for the one time that I...
Yeah, I think it's worth it, right? That kind of thing. That's you do those things because you're only probably going to be here once. Mark's been there twice, but I mean, we know why. Mom dangled.
He's only been there once, actually, by the sounds of it.
I haven't done it when I was younger and older, but I've done Vegas twice now.
Yep.
So the first time we did Vegas,
how'd that go?
Me and Sean have done it twice together. I don't want to go to Vegas to do the Hangover.
Right.
Vegas.
Didn't you break your leg though? Or your ankle?
Did.
That must have been a good trip because your reaction was it was a great trip.
It was. No, it was super fun. Like I mean, the backstory for anybody who's.
Should I not be planning your bachelor party in Vegas?
I've never been, actually. I'm one of the few that's never been. It's like not seeing a Star Wars
Jason,
movie.
you're the guy who would end up with the face tattoo, 100%.
Oh, totally. Yeah, and they're like $700.
Was it Jason Sudeikis' character? I think that's Jason.
Oh, no, that's Ed Helms.
Ed Helms' character.
Ed Helms' character,
yes.
yeah. fact,
100%. You're kind of Ed Helms-esque.
I was just going to say, I'm
I
like,
can pull it off.
It's definitely Mike Tyson is the only one who can pull it off. Okay,
and you also remind me of one of the characters from The Hangover.
Yes, poor man Zach Galifianakis.
Oh, I was going to say Bradley Cooper.
Oh well, thank you. Wow,
that's a very poor man's Bradley
But now
Cooper.
that you mention it, Zach Galifianakis is much closer.
I'm just glad that's on fucking tape. Like I can be like, somewhere in the world, someone said I look like Bradley Cooper, and they'll be like, from what? Your earlobes? Like what part? Your kneecaps look like Bradley's?
Bradley Cooper as Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Thank you. We need to extend that compliment. But we did, like, going back the second time, I was more mentally prepared to. You get it out of your system the first time when you go somewhere and experience it, and if you really enjoy that place, going, like, I understand why people go to Florida every year, right, or go to Texas in the winter, or that snowbird syndrome. I understand going back to the same place creates familiarity. And then, like, we went back the second time, we're like, where do all, like, the locals hang out? Where's, like, the cool, where do Vegas people who don't go to Vegas?
You got over that initial shock of what's going on.
And you get better at it. You're like, oh, I know how to beat this line, or I know, the insider track on this.
Yeah. Or in my case, I know that hotel isn't just over there.
Yeah,
it's way the fuck down there. Right?
What you're going to want to do is
you're gonna get a step counter.
Like I did. I rented a car in Vegas.
So did we.
Right? And I thought it would be horrible. Right? Because you'd end up parking. You'd be so far away from everything.
Nope.
Fucking Vegas is the easiest place to drive around. You literally pull up to the door.
Basically a parking lot.
Yeah, throw your keys to the valet and just go in and check it out. Like it's so easy to drive.
It totally is. When we got on the highway and drove around, I was like, this is not a hard town to navigate.
No.
By any means. You get off the highway, you get on the highway,
It's on
right?
flat
or freeway.
territory, right? Like
very, yeah. But, like, you can really screw it up, but the way they've got it there is, like, there's the main drag and then everything kind of loops around it. So they built the city where everyone's either going to the middle or, this actually brings up a good point, navigating in a new place.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when I think about every time we've talked about wanting to go to, Shauna and I have wanted to go to, when she's like, we want to go to China or she'll go back. She's been to Thailand, like, I think 2 or 3 times.
Right.
So she saw Koh Samui Road or Koh Samui. There's a market in Koh Samui. And she saw it on Anthony Bourdain and recognized it. Recognized the back alley and said, I know what's around the corner.
Oh, that's cool.
That I was like, that's what I want with my travel, because I'm not that well traveled. Like I've been on enough planes to know, but I've never been off the continent.
Right.
Actually, no, that's not true. I have been to the Caribbean, but I've never been to the Eastern Hemisphere. I haven't done the England thing. And I don't really have, like, when I think about the places in the world that I want to go see that are, like, on the list, I don't want to go to London. Right. I don't want to go to Australia. Right. I would love to get. I'm not saying I wouldn't go. Like if you threw.
It's not high on your list.
It's just not exactly right. Like I don't want to go to the place where I'll see another 2,000 Canadians in the same place. Right. I want to go to some place and get lost in Africa. Right. And experience like the Henry Rollins travel. You guys know how he rolls. You know how he rolls. Yeah. So like 6 months of the year mark, he goes out and just goes someplace on a map. Qatar or North Korea.
At one point he was picking what are the worst places to go.
Exactly. And then
he's got a whole album on his trip to like Lebanon and North Korea, and
it's so interesting because he's going and doing these things on purpose to almost debunk the media in a way. It's like your version of this place is not the version. It's wrong. And you need to go experience it. And then he does a whole 6 months of stand-up on it and just travels around and does spoken word and tells people about it. And he's like, he's been in the middle of Lebanon with a family of goat herders just walking through the desert and with a translator. That's
now, do you see yourself, like, personally as the kind of, like, roughing it traveler? Or do you like I like to live a little more comfortably traveler?
Okay, honey.
Like, do you want to be walking with a bunch of goats in?
No. I mean, okay. Everybody in their head at some point goes, "I could do that. I could definitely do that." I'm getting to the point, getting older, going, I want to be able to do that, but I know I'll be an asshole. I know that's not what I'm. So I need to work up to it, right? Sure. So there's this cool website. I can't remember the name of it, but they do. You get to a place, and then you can pick like the 5-star treatment. Or here's a knife and have fun surviving treatment.
It's right? A stick.
And so it's like $600 or $1,200 or $5,000.
That's cool.
And the whole trip, once you get there, is catered around what living
choose your own adventure.
Choose your own adventure, exactly. I would be somewhere in the middle.
Right.
To answer your question,
Yeah.
I would like to. I mean, I would like to see a giraffe in its environment.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know if I would do well camping in an African
Right.
hut.
You don't want to get shit on by a giraffe.
I don't want to get shit on by a giraffe. Exactly. Or be caught somewhere needing to take a shit like Jason and have nowhere to go.
See, I could definitely easily handle the 1-star roughing it treatment. But when I do travel somewhere, I kind of lean towards a 3-star.
Yeah.
Just because for me, there's that part of it. How effed up do I want to be? I want to have a good night's sleep. I want to have a decent meal.
Yeah.
I want to have some creature comforts because tomorrow I have adventures I want to see. I have things I want to do, and I don't want to be trapped in some hostel sheeting myself to death because I got the wrong burrito or whatever it is. You know what I
Totally.
mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's a
I
certain
have
amount of
never
I have,
stayed in a hostel.
Mhm. Me neither.
Yeah.
Neither have I.
Huh.
Are you hostile towards them?
No, I'm
I thought
quite
we were done
welcoming,
this game.
actually.
What about you, Mark? To answer your own question, like, do you...
I used to make the joke that the only stars I'll sleep under is 5. But I'm more of I'm the same as you. Like I want to be comfortable in the evening, but it's because I want to do as much as I can during the day.
You only have vacation for a few days.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, and I go to places for the longest I think I've been somewhere is like maybe 10 days. Like mostly it's like 4, 5, 7 days at the most. So you're trying to pack as much as you can into your daytime hours. If I was traveling, like some people I know that go for like, I'm going 3 months to so-and-so. Well, yeah, then you can stay in hostels.
Yeah.
Right.
And because you don't need to pack it all into a couple days.
And you don't want to spend $20,000.
No, exactly. And that's the thing is you can go for 3 months and spend as much as you do in 1 week.
Right.
Totally.
If you have the time and energy.
Right.
And that's one of the things that, I mean, we're going to get to very shortly is the sort of, if I could talk to the young me, 100% I would have gone and traveled after high school.
Oh, yeah.
I would have never waited till later on in life because I had a really rude awakening a few years back, probably 6 or 7 years back, when I'm like, oh, I always wanted to go to Europe, right? I want to go see it and I want to see all these places. And I started looking at these tours, right, that you can get on board and everything else. And I started reading these Kontiki tours.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, this is amazing. They'll take you here and you group of people and they'll take you out here and blah, blah, blah. And like firm, no ands, ifs, or buts, you can't be over 35.
Fuck off.
Yeah. And I'm like 37, 38 when I'm looking at this. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding. Like I outgrew the thing I wanted to do my whole life.
How are you too big for this ride?
I don't know, because I think you're over 35, you're no fun.
Right.
Fuck that.
Yeah. So I'm like, and now I gotta go take the riverboat cruise with the 65 plus crowd.
Right?
Hey, that cruise we went on was fun.
No,
That was a cruise. Yeah, Jason and I have traveled together actually.
Well, okay, that's another thing I wanted to talk about. Traveling alone versus travel partners versus traveling with your spouse versus traveling with your buddies. Like, there are complications in every way, shape, or form. And I am so fucking lucky that the majority of my big travel, Sean has taught me how to travel better. Like I'm not booking the tickets, right? I know I'm saying a lot of I here, but like behind my travel in the last 4 years has been Sean is like, hey, I got a great deal. I'm like, just deal with it. Like, tell me when to
let me know.
Yeah, what do I have to pay for, right? Because I have the hard time of seeing the trip 6 months from now.
Yep.
And getting into trip mind, where Sean is very good at getting me excited about the trip. So I love traveling with her. But I mean, okay, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if the other boys listen to it, but like me, Aaron, and Martin have would not be good travel buddies.
Right.
Like it just I don't see us because we all can't really plan shit. So it would just fall to pieces right out the gate. So what do you think on that? Like, do you think you're better solo travel? Do you think you?
I've never really done a ton of solo traveling myself.
Okay.
I don't think I'd be bad at it. I just, other than work trips and little things like that.
Yeah.
But I've always traveled with either a partner or friends. I like traveling with friends, but I like being the planner.
Okay.
So I travel like a group
Control freak.
Yeah, a group of maybe like 10 or 12 of us went just down to Arizona for a friend's 40th birthday. So we came from all over different locations.
Okay.
We all met down there. But even with that many people of all like sort of our age and a bunch of guys, I still Like I showed up a day early. I rented a suburban SUV. I went to the airport like 14 times and picked everybody up.
Oh boy.
Back and forth to the house. I knew the lay of the land. I knew the restaurants were. I like
fuck around.
I like being that.
Shit.
I like having all that shit known. I don't really like turning it over to somebody else, or at least I haven't found somebody that I can relinquish that responsibility to.
It's
I
the
love your
trust
word
thing.
choice, relinquish.
Yeah, it's the trust thing. Like when you and I traveled, we went on an Alaskan cruise with my family. When we traveled, like I didn't care if I did it or you did it, but we were pretty much on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
You know, and I know your level of quality and taking care of things properly, and not like 100. Some people are like 99% on just winging it. I know that we were pretty much in the same neighborhood. That okay, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So there are some people that I just wouldn't travel with, but outside of that, I'm very good to travel with because I'm a resourceful person. I keep my shit together. I haven't done tons of traveling, but the traveling I have done has been pretty varied, so I'm pretty comfortable.
I mean,
just taking care of the basics and making sure that we get what we need to do,
I make the joke that I wouldn't be able to do it, but if pressed, I mean, if you put baby in a corner, baby's going to dance. Right. So
I don't get, this is maybe a bad word, I don't get pissy when I'm traveling. I don't get flustered. I don't get anxious. You know what I mean? So for me, it's just like, and maybe people I've traveled with are like, I've been with significant others that like they get super freaked out and worked up about stuff.
Yep.
And then they get agitated that I'm not that. And I'm like, I'm the one that's going to get us on the flight. So you can freak out all you want. I'm in charge of this show and I'm making it happen. So you condemn me all you like.
Executive decision time.
How do people miss planes? Can you explain that to me?
I
have a couple people I know that regularly miss flights.
I missed a flight in the past few years.
Yeah, because you can't read military time.
Is that it?
Yeah, that was it.
I'll work on that with you.
I took off the 10 instead of the 12 or something, wasn't that? Or
Oh,
added
dear
it,
Lord.
whatever.
Yeah.
So I was off
like,
by 2
what was
hours.
it? You had to leave at...
It's 8 o'clock at night or something. So 8:20 is what it was.
Yeah. Exactly. You thought you left at 8, but it was at 1800 hours.
Yeah.
So his flight left at 6.
Yeah.
And we got him to the airport at 8, which made it for a really funny story.
That wasn't the... So I've missed 2 flights.
Oh.
The second time was one of the connecting flights coming back from Nashville, and I'd stayed overnight in the airport in Toronto because everything, when you're doing it on Air Canada points, has to go through Toronto from here, which really sucks. And so I went like 8 hours before the gate where it was, it was on the map, and went and did my thing. Then they changed the gate, and they didn't announce it on the speaker, so I just sat there. Just sat there.
You were there too early.
Yeah, I was there like literally 8 or 10 hours early or whatever, and then they just assumed, I guess, okay, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, we'll just move the gate. We don't need to announce it over there because who would be over there?
Who would be sitting there 8 hours
Me
early?
and my dog.
Yeah. Nobody comes here that early.
What kind of a maniac does such a thing?
Yeah, you're given a posted time, and the only thing about that time is that if it arrives earlier, they like that because they have more time to get their shit together, but it's only going to be late. Like an early flight that lands doesn't take off early after it's posted.
They
its
keep
time.
on schedule.
Yeah. So you've got one fucking time to stick to. Be Jason, be 10 hours early. You're the isolated incident where you get fucked over. But like normally being an hour early is not going to be detrimental to your whatever. But like, why are you cutting it so short too? Like there are fun things to do in certain airports.
When I travel, I always do like, if they say whatever, be here 45 minutes early. I'm the guy who'll be like 2 hours early or 2.5 hours early. Yeah. Because I'd rather not have that pressure. So I can do that planning ahead of time. Like, oh, the cab didn't come, or who cares what it is, whatever it is.
Give yourself a buffer.
Yeah. Like a couple of hours, and then just have your coffee and your donut and wait for your plane, and talk with, if you're traveling with people, spend time with them and get psyched up for this thing that's just about to happen.
I do love traveling with people in that sense. There's only a couple times I've traveled with a group of friends, and it's fun psyching yourselves up for, we're going on this trip, and what are we going to do? And everybody's kind of got their ideas.
What are you doing first when you get there?
Yeah, that is fun.
Planes, trains, and automobies. In
Good
that
movie.
order.
Solid.
That's a great movie.
Where's your other hand, Mike?
God.
Between two pillows. Those aren't pillows! Oh, sorry.
Just having flashbacks.
Rest in peace, John Candy. Much love.
In like out of all of them, what's your? I know Mark's preferred method. Anything that's on the ground that doesn't.
Yeah,
defy
I love
gravity.
trains.
Yeah,
trains are good to travel on. I've traveled on a couple trains.
I haven't been on a train since I was a kid, and even then it was the Prairie Dog Express, which was once around the perimeter. So
I was actually planning a train trip across the U.S., like in a couple lines.
Yeah,
it never came to fruition, but I thought it would be really interesting. Because it's beautiful scenery in a train.
It is, and it's nothing but time, right? Like if you need to catch up on something, if you really want to get like, you alleviate a lot of distractions because you're like, we're going this way, and we're only going that way, and it's going to take a while.
No getting lost.
Yeah, right.
Which is nice.
Yeah. It's.
I don't mind automobiles, but I'm a horrible passenger. So when I go on car trips, I have to drive. So like,
what makes you a horrible passenger?
Nauseous.
Control issues.
Oh, control issues.
and road sickness.
Is that where the nauseous comes from? The control issues?
Yeah, I'm nauseous when other people are in control.
Why do you get car sick? Because I'm not driving.
Yeah. Yeah, I like driving, and I don't trust other people, and I get nervous and anxious and nauseous all at the same time.
Right.
So like I went on a trip with two of my buddies shortly after high school. We had a friend that moved to BC, Prince George, which is northern-ish BC.
His name's Prince George?
Yeah, he's Prince George. His name is Prince George. He lives in Kelowna. And no, we traveled to Prince George, BC. But it was like a 24-hour drive with me and two buddies, and I drove the whole way.
Right.
Wow. That's you. I would love to go on a road trip with you for the sheer fact.
We left on Christmas Day too, so we drove like over the glacier in like Banff National Park, or not Banff, the Jasper, up through Edmonton, like snow roads through the mountains where we were sliding, and it was crazy. We thought we were gonna die.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
My friends like got a cross in the passenger seat praying.
What is it that you feel the need to control in the car? Because there's not much to control in the car. So let's maybe do we look forward to breaking that?
I like being in the driver's seat.
Okay, all right.
I don't know. It's a thing. As much as I like to please other people, and we've gone over that in the past, I like to be in control.
I like to be in control of pleasing you.
I'm sorry. Yes, exactly. I want to drive us to wherever you would like to go.
Yeah. But that's part of that shepherding tendency that we've talked about lots in the past, right?
I'm definitely a shepherd.
Airbnb or hotel?
I've never stayed in an Airbnb. Or once I've stayed in an Airbnb.
Yeah, I haven't stayed in one either. I'm curious what the...
And it was a good experience.
Yeah.
I would do it again, 100%.
I stayed in a long-term one once in Nashville. It was like renting
renting for a month, right?
Yeah. Like it's a huge boom of people, and there's no housing boom going on as best they can. So everything there is an Airbnb, and so like if you're a nurse, you go get an Airbnb and you live in an Airbnb for years.
Really?
Like it's that much demand.
So you can do long-term Airbnb.
Oh yeah, you just go get it for like everybody's doing it. Like people
it's just the rage.
People have RVs in their yard that they Airbnb you for a month. And people will just live in an RV.
So can you Airbnb like a shed?
I'm sure you can.
Is there a level before before it stops?
I
being
love that we're just talking about short-term rentals of places, but we just call them Airbnbs now. So you Airbnb this? Did you Airbnb that? I Airbnb that.
You know what? It's funny because that's exactly what it's always been. It's just a short-term rental with an app now.
Yeah.
Totally.
And there's VRBO that I've used.
Pardon me.
Vacation rentals by owner.
Oh, so we
rented a house in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Yes.
That slept 17 people.
Okay, that's what. Yeah, Sean is
through VRBO, not Airbnb. So I VRBO'd it.
That's a big mouthful of an acronym.
But it was great. It's amazing, and those were kind of neat because they're vacation properties and they get like recycled through. I don't know if this happens at Airbnbs, but like you get there and the fridge is stocked. Right? Because the people that were there before you last week bought mustard and ketchup. And if you run out of something, you go buy it and you just leave it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So there's always lots of things that are getting cycled through the house. And if all of the guests are decent, and it is when you're renting things that are nice.
Yeah.
We found it was just like staying at a friend's place. It was awesome.
That's what I am attracted to about it and want to eventually do it. And I think if we ever do a road trip, that's what we would do. Like we would do a combination of like motel. I love motels. Right. We're going out to there's a festival next weekend in Toulon, Manitoba the
Real Debaters Festival?
No, I wish that podcast had a festival. That would be my dream. No, it's another music festival in Manitoba, but it's like an alternative music festival on some guy's private property.
Like what kind of music?
Rock, a little bit of hip hop, a little bit of like Begonia's going to be there. Lots of shout out to Begonia. You were amazing at Folk Fest. Hopefully you hear this. But anyways, yeah, we're staying in the motel in Toulon.
Cool.
I love a cute little motel.
You love a good motel.
I love a great motel in a prairie town. Those are
Schitt's Creek all the way.
Have you ever stayed in a hotel, like my hotel experience in California, where it's like 2 levels and there's a pool in the middle of the courtyard, and that just like the ones that you see like on those trashy TV shows where the pool's drained and people just sit around the drained pool.
Yeah, the drained pool with like the leaves collecting in the corner.
Yeah, 100%.
Is it a hotel or is it a motel or Mark? Is it a holiday? Fuck, you took my.
I thought you were going to say, is it a no-tel? I've been in some no-tel motels. I overnighted in one on a road trip.
What did they charge you an hour there?
I was going to say.
I wish. In the middle of nowhere, coming back from Saskatoon once, and had to just couldn't. I was literally starting to hallucinate. So I'm like, okay, you got to sleep somewhere. So I'm like, oh, here's this one of those places where you wake the guy up.
Yeah.
And yeah.
What the fuck do you want?
I was so confused because there was 4 channels on the TV, and it was 4 different versions of CBC. Which was confusing. There was like a French one, an English one, like an Iqaluit one, or I don't know.
Well, they do have a CBC.
There's nothing else. It was just CBCs. You could pick from 4 different CBCs in different languages.
Wow. That's crazy that they have them all at your disposal.
Yeah, and there was they had all these burn marks in the carpet from cigarette butts,
yeah,
one of those kind of places. So get up in the morning, have my shower, reach out to grab my towel, and I'm looking at the towel's covered in blood stains.
Oh boy.
My.
And so oh no, I'll grab the other one, and I look. And then I have to make the decision which of these towels has the fewest blood stains on it. I couldn't get out of that place fast enough.
That is an experience.
But that wasn't really vacation stay.
No, yeah, not really. I guess back to Mark's point earlier about our whole premise of what we've talked about now that we know about our travel experience, and limited, obviously. I mean, we've figured out, I think every episode has a part to it. But I am happy to say that every topic we actually put down on paper, we almost covered. So yay for us.
I know in the future we're going to be doing things like jobs part 2.
Yeah.
You know, and we'd have to listen to the first one we did and then see what we left out, right?
Totally.
What have we learned since we did the first one? I should have known better in the first podcast.
Low learners all around.
Yeah, we're going to get really meta on you later.
Totally. Be Inception. Inception should have known better.
Podcast within a podcast.
Within a podcast. Within your brain. So
the top was spinning the whole time.
So let's start with you, Jason. What have you learned about, the last?
The biggest thing I learned about related to travel was in grade 13 when I was in high school. There was a grade 13 trip to a Mediterranean cruise.
You Ontario suckers.
Yeah, exactly. And so, most people go on that. And I was like, no, I don't want to spend that money for just something that's vaporware. I want to spend it on, I bought a stereo with it, basically. I bought a high-end car stereo.
As you do.
Yeah. And day one, me and the other 2 people in grade 12 and 13 didn't go. We're sitting in a classroom. And I was overwhelmed with, oh, my God, what have I done?
Yeah.
Big fucking mistake. Also, too, because you're traveling with your whole grade year or whatever, you will never travel with that many friends at once, ever again. You get that opportunity, you take it. Finance it. I don't care.
Yep.
That's
Figure
the
it out.
biggest mistake I ever made traveling.
I didn't do
that in the bathroom in Bolivia. That was a mistake as well.
That's a life mistake. Like Bolivia, if Bolivia was a person, that's their biggest mistake. I did the same thing. I didn't go on a high school trip to Mexico, Guadalajara, Mexico, for band, and was sitting there going, "Fucking mother, whatever.
What
fuck,"
did I do?
Right?
Yeah.
Like just stewing.
It's so obvious the second it happened. I'm just like, oh my God, you have, just like in Arrested Development, I made a terrible mistake.
Did we think that when we worked at jobs that our job would go on a trip altogether? Like suddenly. Was a job just like a classroom?
Yeah, exactly.
Like later on?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the 30 of us are going to go on a school band trip to France.
A
work band trip to France.
Exactly.
No. You only get to do that in high school.
Yeah, no,
Do it.
That's called a conference later in life, and they're usually boring and filled with way too much alcohol and mistakes that you have to report to your boss on Monday. What about you, Mark? Where's your knowledge scale?
You know what? This is one of those things that I think there's many points in my life where I should have known better. Like not just a kid. When I think I had unrealistic expectations of travel when I was young, and I realize now that my parents did a pretty good job of. My dad used to take me on these short trips, and I realize now that it was a big deal for him to plan and go over the things, and I don't think I appreciated it enough.
Right.
we were road trippers more than like fly somewhere.
Good for you.
Yeah. But like we were back in the days of like we had the station wagon where you were allowed to lay down in the back of the station wagon. You didn't have to have seatbelts on.
Cruiser.
Yeah. Yep. I think I would, like you said, I would take advantage of things when I'm younger. We didn't have a high school trip that I can think of, but I would have.
But you missed out in your Kon-Tiki, like you said.
Yeah, I would have took that time before going to university because I made the mistake of going to university too fast. I screwed up my first 2 years.
Way to be responsible.
Then I took time off just to work, but I should have just took that time to go and like explore and live life a little. I never thought travel was an important thing when I was a kid. I always said I would rather take the money that I'd spend on a trip, buy something for myself, and have a more satisfying life here. I always thought,
the now, not the later.
Yeah, this trip is going to cost $3,000. No, I'd rather go buy this thing that's going to give me pleasure at home.
You can touch it. You can put it on a shelf.
And then I finally realized after going on a trip, I'm like, oh, this is what I've been missing. You know, I realized it too late, and I missed out on a lot of those experiences that I could have had earlier. And some people got it, and I thought those people were crazy. But I would definitely be one of those people now if I had the opportunity.
Yeah, me too.
And even when I was an adult and going on trips, I would have done things so much differently than I know now, right?
Yeah.
You learn, traveling something you learn consistently. Every time I take a trip, I learn something new, probably about how to travel or, tricks of the trade.
Yes, little creature comfort things that you learn. And
like you said, you get here like, oh, I know this is the easiest way to get through
XYZ,
security.
yeah.
This is the best place to go in the airport to do this. This is the best seat to sit on because we get these advantages.
I know the washroom that isn't covered in shit.
Yeah. Like I know, okay, we're going to get an upgrade, but we're not going to do it ahead of time. We're going to do it when we check in for the tickets because we pay a lot less money, but we still get the same seat.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, that's the tricks of the trade that are,
Even just navigating yourself, orienting yourself around a city, and I realized like, oh, okay, this is why there's streets and routes and things like that. I'm like, oh, once I figured that out, I can do this anywhere I go.
Yeah, like have you guys driven to big cities like 8-lane highways that have on and off ramps and they're just so daunting?
Shauna talks about Arizona highways all the time, and it just
they're insane,
anxiety.
Unbelievable.
Just like 42 concrete lanes on top of each other.
My folks have a place there, and the first time I went there, you're on 4 and 4, like 4 each direction. You're on a freeway.
It's too much, man.
And then beside it, they're building another 4 and 4. It's about halfway done. Beside it, they're building another 4 and 4 because they know that when they open the second one, they'll need that much more traffic again right away.
Jesus. So, like, because they opened the first one, everybody takes the first one. Yeah. Then you need to make another one to cut the first amount of people in half, and then you need to do it again to cut them into a third.
So what you would need would be a 12 and 12, but that's not very viable, so they make 3. 4 and 4s. Unbelievable.
I was on a highway leading into Chicago, and I swear to God, there was like 8 lanes of traffic next to me. It was just like, as far as the eye could see, there was traffic going the same direction.
You have to plan an hour ahead to get into the right lane.
And I was in Dallas, Texas, and I remember seeing these overpasses where people go different directions, and there was 4 roads that were above each other. So there was like the road that went through, there was one that passed this way, there was one that passed that way, and then one that went over top. So there's actually 4 tall of crisscrossing.
What it looks like you just described as a roller coaster. It doesn't look like
it looked like it from a distance.
You're right. Yep.
Like 100% looked like it. I'm like, what the fuck?
And how do you figure out which one you need to be in if you've rented a car?
Exactly. And you can then throw toll roads into it where you get stuck and you're like, well, I can't. Like, I've gone through toll things that the lights flash and sirens go off, and I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Like, I'm not from your country. I don't know how to pay to drive. It's no. I did it in Miami. When we went on a cruise, we went from the hotel to the docks, and like I was just like looking around. I'm like, where do these roads go? They just never fucking end, and like just the infrastructure but I mean,
and trying to do this before we had GPS and phones
on a map.
Yeah,
I made a mistake. I made a mistake at the Chicago airport when I flew down for a Rush concert, and I got into the right cab system,
like a last minute concert, or
no?
Oh, the band Rush.
Just rushing to this concert.
So I get out of the airport and I go to hop in a cab. First thing, I go to grab a cab door, and the guy starts screaming at me. And the cabbie's yelling at me, no, because you have to get in a special lineup, and there's a cab, and he's yelling at me too. So I go, okay, great. So I go all the way back. I'm like, he's going to put me in this cab. And then so I get there and he's like, okay, now you can go through the thing. So I did get in a different cab actually. And
just to spite him.
Yeah, he said, where are you going? And I tell him I need to go to this hotel out by the Tweeter Center or whatever. It's like a sub. The
Tweeter Center?
Yeah. Yeah. So I need to go over there. Okay. And he's like, no, this is the city cab. I'm like, yeah, I just need to go to the Tweeter Center. And he's like, this is the city cab. And I'm like, yeah, just take me to the Tweeter Center. So he takes me to the Tweeter Center. What that means when they say city cab, he's only supposed to stay in certain areas. If he goes outside those areas, you go on to a special meter.
Oh, boy.
My cab ride was $220 US when the exchange rate was 50%.
Oh my God.
Devastating.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, just a hint, another should have known better. Just spend some time talking to the cab people to find out what's what before you just pull the trigger, my friends.
Don't be ignorant, right? Don't be ignorant. Don't have ego.
And this is only in the U.S. Like, imagine, I haven't traveled over to
Thailand where I don't know the language.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, you could really screw yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally could. I think if I could tell young Michael what I know now, one, start earlier. Definitely. But like more discipline, I think. I love the traveling. Like you would never have to go back and say, do you want to go to XYZ place? Mm-hmm. You wouldn't have to convince me, and we wouldn't be like the kids that are out there today where they get through, man, I'm on my phone, man, I'm on Instagram and I'm in France. And it's like, really, like you're surrounded by culture and awesomeness and funness, and your nose deep in your Instagram page. Anyways, I would definitely tell myself to start earlier and to be more disciplined in regards to saving for it,
right,
and just trying to tell yourself like this is just kind of get into a mindset. There is a travel mindset that I have learned that you have to start psyching yourself up. You have to start imagining you're in those places to get excited for it. You have to start investigating and writing down what you're going to do. Like you do all the theory, and then the theory gets you excited because then and nowadays it's like you can get so excited. You can YouTube.
You paint a picture.
You can paint a picture, but you can YouTube the ride, right? Or you can read the review, right? There's so many things that psych you up to get you out of the house. That now I'm glad I have that now, because now I'm excited when Shauna starts saying we should go somewhere.
I think a big should have known moment is there's certain places that you should travel at certain ages in your life.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Like you can go to Paris when you're 60 and enjoy Paris.
Yes.
Right? But you can't go to Ibiza when you're 65
no,
because it just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
No. So there's certain times where you like miss the segment of time, like my Kontiki tour. I missed like that. Literally, I missed it. But I mean, there's places that I'd gone when I'm younger that I could have waited till I was older. And then there's things I missed out on that I'm kind of old to go there now. And I think had I gone, it's not just the 15, 16-year-old Mark. It's that I would have told the 25-year-old Mark this.
Yes.
I would have told the 30-year-old Mark, go do that now. Even if it means you can't do this for a bit, go take this bucket list item and check it off now, because you're going to be too old at one point to really enjoy it.
Yeah, like hip replacements will get in the way of dancing to EDM in Ibiza.
And I learned it from my dad. Like he finally got a trip to go to Spain or something, and it's like up and down and hills and things, and he just couldn't handle it at his age. So you can't wait to retire to go travel the world, because you can't do the world sometimes when you get to that age.
Yeah, the world's like, no. You need knees for me.
Take your breaks now. Yeah. And enjoy it. And there's plenty of places to go when you're old.
There are.
But wait till you're old to go there.
Florida and Arizona will always be there.
But go to the places where you need to walk and you need to,
experience and
experience those when you're young.
Oh, and I would say like get away. Don't do the touristy shit. I would implant that in myself and the 20-year-old. I'd be like off the beaten path. Like the Louvre does not interest me by any means, right? Not so much in the fact that I don't like art, but I want to, like, the lineups at the Louvre are like the lineups at Disneyland. Yeah. Right? Take me to the places that are held secret, right? Take me to your Toad in the Hole. Take me to your, your theater. Take me to your, like, what you go, this is why XYZ place is amazing. That's
if you can get in with like a local and get the insider track on something. Yeah. That would be pretty cool,
My parting shot would be to go to Bolivia. Life-changing trip. It's not on a lot of people's radar. absolutely changed my life. Can't wait to go back.
Just bring a portable potty. That's all you got to do, guys. Just make sure you don't have to shit in there.
Bring some of that stuff they gave me in Mexico.
Yes.
Lock you right up. You won't have to worry about it.
You want to shit for 2 weeks? Take 8 of these. You got no problems. Well, on that note, we actually have to make a trip. Me and Sean are going out to the farm tonight. We're going to Arberg, Manitoba to go barbecue on a brand new barbecue.
Beautiful.
Arberg. Hashtag what up. So on that note, thank you for everybody for listening this week. Follow us on Instagram for our next episode title and little snippets from this week's episode and previous ones. If you want to check us out and you've never listened to us before, we are on Apple Podcasts as well as Podbean, Google Play Music, and Spotify.
But you already know that if you've listened to this whole episode.
Exactly. I care about the new ones.
Wherever you found us.
Yeah. We'll be. Yeah,
Go
you're
back
right.
there.
Yeah, shut up, Michael. Yeah. We'll always be wherever you are.
If you're listening to a friend's podcast and you weren't here at the beginning and you have no idea where this friend got this podcast from, you can find us at everywhere.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm still getting that part down, everybody. And if you want to email us an idea for an episode or you want to talk about one we've done, you can hit us up at shouldhaveknownbetterpodcast@gmail.com. That's shouldhaveknownbetterpodcast@gmail.com. I am Michael Petro, and
I am Mark Cowell,
and I am Jason Brett Folman,
and we are gone.
Gonna ring a dong for a holiday.